Hello guys, welcome back to Java session. In this particular video, we are going to cover what is this servlet, what is the purpose of this servlet, how to create servlet, how to run servlet. So whenever we are running servlet, how this servlet works internally, right, within the server. So these are all the things I'm going to cover, right? So what is this servlet means? Beta, it's a servlet is a technology which is used to create the web applications, right? So basically it uses the Java language to create these web applications. So what is this web application means? Beta, it's a helper application which is used to help the user, right? That resides at the web server. That in the sense that is available in the web server and build the dynamic web pages. Dynamic web page means a page which generate the response according to the user request, right? So here a dynamic web page could be anything like a page that randomly chooses the picture to display or a page that displays the current time, right? So dynamic means something which generates according to the input, then that is called as a dynamic web page, right? Now, this is the simple architecture about this beta. Here, client, whenever we are using the terminology client means that is a web browser. Here we have the web server. Within the web server, we have the servlets. Sir, what do you mean by servlet? Every web application can be called as a servlet. Let's say if we have YouTube, WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Orkut, if they are the web applications, they're all we can call it as a servlet, right? So always we use a web browser. By using this web browser, we are going to send the request, right? That request can be used to carry the information from the client machine. Whenever we send the request to the web server, so what the web server will do, internally, this web server contains a web container. I will discuss about this web container in detail. This web container, it holds a different web applications, or you can say all these are all what I'm saying web applications. You can also call them as a servlet. So technically, any web application can be called as a servlet. So what will happen? This web server internally it contains a web container. That web container it contains the different servlets. So whenever we send some request, it will identify the request for which servlet. So it communicates with that particular servlet, and that servlet will generate the dynamic page. That in the sense dynamic response. That response will be forwarded to the web server. From web server to the client machine, we are going to forward that response. This is how what we will do. We will uh, execute the servlet. Now we will see in detail about this servlet, like what is this web container, how to send request, how to get response, what will happen internally in detail. We will understand one by one, right? So if you want to create the servlet application beta, you can use this Tomcat server. Basically, this Tomcat server you will get it in the internet. Tomcat server, there are different versions from 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on, right? So this Apache Tomcat is a open source. It's a web server. This is for testing the servlets, and you can also use for the JSP technology, right? You can download the latest version of this Tomcat server, right, from internet, and you download it and you install it. If you want, I will show you the installation as well. In the next step, I am going to show you the installation, right? So once you are installed this Tomcat server means, then you should follow these steps to create and run the servlet, right? That in the sense, sir, why we need to follow these steps only? Beta, this is a server. It can understand a particular web directory structure. If you are placing those components in that particular structure, then only the server can read and it can process your application. Sir, if I'm placing in a random manner, it doesn't understand and it doesn't process the application. So that's what, whenever you want to create an application, first you should follow the web directory structure. That is the first step. Create a directory structure for your application. Then create the servlet for that application. Then compile the servlet and create the deployment descriptor, that in the sense mapping file. Then deploy it and start the server. Deploy the application in the server and start the server. But I'm going to explain these 5 steps in detail. You don't worry. Right. So, sir, you are saying create the directory structure. That in the sense, does this web application contains any specific directory structure? Of course, beta. Whatever the application which you want to create, that will be the main folder name. Application name must be the the first folder name must be the application layer. Let's say, sir, I want to create Facebook. Then your application name should be the Facebook. Then within the main application, you should have the web related information that we are going to place in the web folder. That in the sense here I am going to create a web folder. So this web folder, it contains different uh, servlet classes as well as libraries and deployment descriptor file. Here, what I'm doing, I'm taking a classes folder. These are the folders meta. This is the first folder, second folder, and this is the third folder. So this is the main folder. First is the main folder. Within that, webinf is the second folder. Within that, classes is the third folder, right? Within these classes, you should write all the servlet classes, right? Let's say if it is a Facebook, sir, what are the servlet classes for the Facebook? Here I am creating the classes folder. So here for registration, I need a class. Then login, I need a class. Logout, I need a class. And then for this profile, I need a class. This is the way, what are the actions which we are going to perform for all those classes? What I will do, I will create the servlet class. All those servlet classes I am going to place here in classes folder. I will place the servlet classes. Basically, when we release the application, better we never post the source code. We will keep the dot class files. All right. So I will place all the servlet class files in the classes folder. Now I will explain in detail about this better. So here now assume this Facebook we are going to design. Sir, one is the registration web page I created. There I am accepting the different parameters. My registration page is registration only. Username I am taking, password I am taking, re-enter password, then email ID, phone number, and so on. These are all the details I'm taking, and I'm taking the register button or submit button, right? Whenever you are clicking, you filled all of them. Assume I filled all the details and I'm clicking on the register button, right? So what will happen internally? Then, sir, whenever we are clicking on the register button, we need to read the data, we need to validate the data, and then we need to send that request to the database, that is Facebook database. That in the sense, this data will be read, that will be forwarded to the server. Server will validate it and it will communicate with the database. In database, we want to store the data, right? And once the data is inserted on the database, then response will be generated. That is, here registration done successfully. That response I need to forward to the server to the client machine. This all should happen whenever we click on the registration button. That in the sense, this web page you can design by using either HTML or XML or PHP or something like that, right? But sir, who will perform all these actions? These are all the actions which are going to be performed by the class which you designed. That is the servlet class. Now, that in the sense, what we are doing, we are creating a Facebook application. So there I'm taking the webinf folder, right? So within this webinf folder, I'm taking the classes folder, right? Here, registration class I am created, I placed. So the registration page directly I will place it in the main folder. So register.html. Same way, sir, I have login.html, right? Profile.html, HTML or PHP, that can be anything. Assume that in the sense, if you have multiple classes, sorry, multiple web pages means you should have multiple classes. Uh, Login class, next I am taking, because the registration class already I created, then I'm creating the login class, then profile class. This is how I have the different, these are all the web pages beta. These are all the different classes. Now, sir, what to display on the web page? I want some image, audio, video, something like that. Then there comes under the static resources. Under the static resources, you will place the images, audio, video, and all the things which you want to display on the uh, web page, right? Then, sir, here I have the classes. Sorry, here I have the web pages. Here I have the classes. In order to execute these classes, I need some libraries. Then you will place those libraries in the library folder, right? Now, Fine, sir. Here I have the web pages. Here I have the classes. To execute these classes or web pages, we need the libraries. Those libraries we placed in the library folder. Now, sir, if I'm working on the registration page, better understand clearly. This is your registration page. You filled everything. You are clicking on the submit button. Sir, whenever I'm working on the registration page, exactly how the servlet is picking this registration class, or if I'm on the profile page, how exactly it is executing this profile class. Beta, for that purpose, the mapping is needed. So that mapping can be done in the web.xml. You can see here, that's what we have a one more file that is called as a web.xml. This is the deployment descriptor file. Here you have the registration web page, you have the registration class. That registration class is going to be mapped with the registration web page by using the URL patterns, right? Same way, if you have profile page and profile class, that profile class is going to be mapped with the profile page by using this web.xml. So this is called as a deployment descriptor file. With this deployment descriptor file only, the server will understand everything, right? Now, this all together we call it as a web directory structure. Better. This is the directory structure which you need to follow whenever you are creating the applications, right? Now we will see the how this servlet works internally. We will see step by step, right?